We are live on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 New Orleans, and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. Doesn't get any better than that. To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Father Shawn Whittington. What am I? What is my story? My story is I'm an ordained Catholic priest with the United States Old Catholic Church. I'm a fully professed brother with the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary. I'm a team member with Society of St. Benedict, and I'm co-founder of GhostBegone.biz. If there's anything you want to know about my wife and I, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz, and it's all there. Both my books are there. If you purchase them off the website, I autograph them and they come to you enclosed in a house blessing kit. Or you can get them a little less expensive at Amazon, and they're also available in audio, which is very cool. My online course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, is there that you can enroll in if you wish. And there's also a place on the website where you can make an appointment to speak with me about your spiritual issues. So there you go. And most importantly, remember that my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So I know times are tough, brothers and sisters, but if you see the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send my ministry in a small donation. I promise you, it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. And yes, I'm that guy on Eli Roth Presents, The Legion of Exorcists on Travel Channel, which is currently streaming everywhere if you haven't caught it yet. So let's keep our fingers crossed we go to a season 2. That would also be very cool. What else do I want to tell you guys other than I love you all and thank you all for tuning in, because I don't have a show without you guys. And another really cool thing about my show is that I have a great co-host, which I'm going to bring on now. Please give a, she's a longtime friend. I love her and respect her. She's the owner of Stellium Books. She's my publisher and a big-time paranormal enthusiast herself and experiencer. Please welcome to the show, Annette Munich. There you are.
Here I am. Hi, Shawn. Hi, everybody. Great to see everybody and be back again for another week. It's so exciting, and we have such a great guest today. Someone that we've had before, and she's just fabulous. No, you're supposed to introduce her. I'm like going on and on, but
That's fine. That's fine if you want to introduce her. I know
I'll
you
do the
love
little
her.
heart thing.
Yeah, I know you like her very much. I love her. She has been on the show before, and she'll be. Hopefully, this is my goal: is that everybody that comes on, I want them to have fun, so they'll want to come back. So, anything you before we bring her on? She's been waiting so patiently in the green room. Any announcements you want to make to the masses?
I don't really have. I mean, I have a second edition that we put out of The Carpenter's Hammer by Jeff Leeper. And that's on Amazon and paperback and Kindle and audiobook. And that is a really interesting story because he's also spiritual warfare. And he shares personal stories in there as well. It's a very interesting book. So if anyone wants to check that out.
Very, very cool. And he's going to be on the show, I understand, in probably in the next month or so, a couple of months.
This fall.
Very, very cool. You know what? This is going to be a very paranormal based show. And I wanted to point this out to everybody and you especially. This doesn't happen very often. Do you notice the paranormal anomaly in the room right now? Do you see it?
No.
It's my cold sore.
Wait a minute. Your cold sore is a paranormal anomaly.
Am I still in high school? I haven't had a cold sore. I can't remember when, since I was a kid. So I don't know where this cold sore came from. And I went to Sharon. I said, I promise I haven't been kissing any other women. And she goes, "That trust me, that's the last thing that I would think." So what's that mean? So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, so I got this cold sore from me, HE double hockey sticks. hanging around that I can't get rid of right now, so we'll just deal with it. So you're welcome to talk as much as you want and introduce our guest, but everybody's going to love her, and that's why everybody tuned in anyhow because they know who we have on today. So without,
We should bring her on. She might want to talk about your cold sore, the paranormal anomaly. We could
yeah,
paint a picture of it so we never forget.
absolutely. Um, she could probably tell me what attachment has
You
caused that
never
to
know.
happen. Anyway, brothers and sisters, you're gonna love her. You all already guys already love her and know who she is. She is a psychic portrait artist, paranormal investigator, lifelong paranormal experiencer. Just really, really cool. You guys are gonna love her so much. Please give a big, warm paranormal ministry family welcome to the one and only Angela Boley.
Hi,
There
Angela.
you are.
hi, Annette. Hi, Shawn. I miss you guys so much.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to embarrass Annette here and tell you that after you were on the show last, she loved you and just couldn't wait till you were back on again. So this, I'm going to let you gals just go ahead and chat.
Well, first of all, we're both artists, and for a while we were emailing paintings back and
Mhm.
forth, and that's a cool thing. And then, we had her on the show and the stories behind the paintings, and it's just really like enthralling to hear all of the stories behind these visuals that she's painting, and then talking about what she's doing with the light and healing. It's just like I haven't met anybody else like you. Angela, you're very unique.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
But I
I
can't
know.
imagine that there would be anyone that wouldn't think you're interesting.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I find interesting about her. Two things. We'll talk about why it's so expensive to get all her paintings in a book. I have this beautiful they call them coffee table books
Right.
that usually are just all these pictures or paintings in them. And I was looking through one on my coffee table the other day, and for some reason, it's probably because I knew she was coming on. I thought about what a phenomenal coffee table book of all her paintings would be, how awesome that would be. But I know that that would be quite an expensive uh,
You,
endeavor and adventure.
you know
Um,
what though? Before Amazon really wasn't doing a lot of hardcovers. I wasn't doing hardcovers. But if you're doing a larger hardcover book, then it kind of justifies the price. But if
Mhm.
you're doing a paperback and you have to charge that kind of money for color printing, that's hard to explain to people. Or maybe
Absolutely.
that's just my opinion on it. If it's a larger book and, presented like you're saying, a coffee table book, all the beautiful color pages, but
That's
for a
expensive.
paperback, it's hard. What I'm saying, it's hard to charge somebody $25 for a paperback. It's not that we
Absolutely.
can't make it, it's that, the cost of print drives the price to the customer up high.
And if
But
you
on
help,
a hardcover, a big hardcover, people expect to pay more money for something like that. So
Mhm.
that's something we could talk about.
Absolutely. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, Angela, that that happens one day
I hope
because
so.
I go to your website all the time and I'll make sure everybody knows what your website is before the show's over. But all your paintings are there, and I'm going to let Annette take over here in a second. But let me start the conversation with this. I've been seeing spirits since I was very young, and I
Hmm.
remember being freaked out. The only one that I could confide in was my mother. She told me there's nothing to be afraid of. They're just people that don't have a body any longer. And if you are able to ask them what it is they want, they either want have a message for you or they need your help with something. And if you can help them, great. If you can't, ask them to stop bothering you. And 99.9% of the time they will, unless it's something a little more malevolent. So then I grow up and I start getting the courage to, back in the day when I was in my early teens doing this, they did something that they used to call soul retrieval. So you would go into this haunted location with friends. Um, and if you were the one being touched, or you were the one that smelled the cigar smoke, or you were the one that smelled the flowers, or you were the one that was smelling the perfume, you knew something was trying to communicate with you.
Right.
Sometimes I'd either get everybody to leave the room, or I would go off by myself to a room and try and drop into a deep meditative state and communicate with the spirit. And my mother was right. Most of the time, they either had a message or they needed help with something. So then I think about what you do, and your paintings are that, but on steroids. How wonderful it is for you to um, help these spirits by painting them, or painting their messages, or painting whatever it is they are giving you visions to paint.
Mhm.
um, how much help that is to them. So now I'm going to shut up so that you can Ned can ask you anything she wants to ask you, and you can elaborate on that, on your technique of that. And if you want, you can go ahead and just start talking about the paintings that are up that you've sent us, and how that all came about.
And so this painting, because the paintings that I brought are mostly messages from the Holy Spirit or from the Blessed Mother.
That one's
Um,
beautiful.
thank you. This one is called the Soul Factory, and the Blessed Mother came to me and asked me to paint this. And is being depicted here, this is heaven, and those round spears are souls that are coming and going from heaven. And she wanted me to paint, she wanted this sort of spiral in the middle, and then all the colors, of course, all the frequencies of light and all their wavelengths to be represented here. And she wanted to show that the infinite space, so that's why that space in the middle is representing infinite space. She wanted me to show the spiral with the spiral, kind of like the spiral shape, like the spiral galaxy, that to show that infinite space is there. And that's like a gateway where all these souls that are waiting to be born, and they're on the way down to be born. And there are souls who are leaving, who are going back to heaven for rest. She wanted to give this message of hope, and to not have any fear of death, and to celebrate, especially life, the life of the unborn coming here, realizing that we need to welcome them into the world because heaven sent them here.
That's wonderful. Do you get visited by, do you, I don't want to use the word conjure. Do you speak with the Blessed Mother a lot? Does she just come to you, or do you have to pray to her first and bring her to you?
Well, most of the time she will come to me, and she appears to me in dreams, and she will speak to me, and when she speaks to me, it's so strong, it's almost audible, like I can almost hear her with my ears. And then I feel her presence, which is just an abundant love that is just undescribable. It just feels like you're being wrapped in a blanket of love when you're in her presence, and you can feel her love, you can feel her compassion, and her presence is just incredible. She has intervened for me before. I was praying really hard against these abusers who traffic kids, and I was put on my heart to pray against the entities who are actually covering those criminals' tracks, and supporting that crime, those crime networks. And I was doing that. And I had an entity attack me, appear to me, introduce himself by name to me, who I painted a portrait of. And my bed, after I'd done praying, I was laying in bed. I was, fine. I thought everything was fine. Everything was over. And I had a crucifix above my bed, and my bed was picked up and dropped 3 times. I was punched in the ribs, and I was this tremendous hissing in the room. And there was this tremendous dark presence there. That person, that demonic entity was there. And I said the Hail Mary, and I felt her come in. She rushed in behind me. I heard her say something, couldn't quite make out what she said, but I could feel her rush in and that entity rush out. It did try to continue to attack me in my dreams. It tried to to give me the impression that it was going to drag me off to hell. And I said, no, you're the loser in this case. You're the loser. You're the loser. And every time I said loser, it got weaker and weaker and weaker, and it had to leave. And that being has since been bound, locked up. I no longer have to worry about him. The heavenly powers, especially the Blessed Mother through her intercession and God's blessing, actually gave me power over that thing, so it could never attack me again. I've had other entities attack me before, the harassment, even through my car speakers driving home, demonic laughter coming through, and with very specific language, calling me weak, calling me, human, very human, very frail. And I said, well, your attacks are just increasing my faith. That's all they're doing. And they usually don't have any good response to that. And it's like, they can't come back from that. And I also had another one where I was, just had my noise canceling feature on my headphones on, no music, just noise canceling, so I could paint without distraction. And I had a demonic laughter coming through, another entity, trying to harass me, trying to stop me from what I'm doing. And it kept talking and talking, harassing me, talking down to me. And I thought, I'm going to get a witness to this. So I pulled my headphones, so it's still talking. And I was going to walk up to my mom to see if she could hear him. And as soon as I got up to her, it switched to music. And I didn't even have any music on. It was like piping in this music. But I did have my car blessed by my local parish priest in holy water. And I've had other numerous encounters, but every time, in every conflict with the demonic, they are more frightened of me. They run from me. They want nothing to do with me. They're terrified of me because God has given me so much strength and so much power and so much light that is now being channeled through me, that the demonic are now terrified of me and flee from my presence whenever I show up.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah, she's people ask me all the time, do Catholics worship Mary? And we don't worship her, we venerate her. But she's the few times that I've needed her help in very troubling situations, it's unlike anything that I've experienced before. When you're in her presence, it's pretty it's pretty amazing, to put it mildly. And that's why they attack you so much, is because you're doing God's work and you're doing such good for not only people in the physical realm, but souls on the other side of the veil. Do you want to look at another painting? Do we have one ready?
Oh, absolutely. Because there's a lot of these. Okay, so this is another one. This was a vision I was actually given by the Holy Spirit. And I was given it in a dream as like a prophecy about particularly the United States. And I was shown this vision of this great tree that had beautiful apples on it. And these apples were for the poor to eat. They weren't for the rich. They weren't for the middle class. These were for the poor, the people who could not have anything to eat. And it was for them only. But as time went on, the rich and those who could work and earn a living and didn't have to eat from the apple, they said, well, I want to eat from this apple tree too and not have to work. And they would take all the apples and take everything they could off of this tree. But then when God saw that happening and saw that was happening in overwhelming numbers, that people were actually rejecting God and rejecting his principles instead of earning their keep and doing their fair share and helping others, God actually struck the tree down with lightning. And when the tree fell, the fruit was rotting. And then people were still walking up to the fruit and eating the rotten fruit and pretending it was good fruit. And so this is the message that I was given to paint. Like, how do I put this in a painting? And this is what I was shown how to depict it. So each apple represents a different form of corruption within our society. Now, the first apple with the worm and the eyeball, that represents distraction, visual distraction, media, kind of the appetite for the eyes, that desire in the heart where, you're feeding the unsavory desires of the heart, completely distracted by entertainment, where entertainment is your your go-to, your god, your idol. And the next one with the green slime, and of course we have the stars and the stripes that represent the United States dissolving and being disunified. There's black stars, there's white stars, and the red stars, and that just means that the United States is falling, that those stars are falling and disintegrating. The one with this black slime and the little bite out of it, and of course they all have bites on the one, the green slime, a little bit of black slime, that represents the drug epidemic.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, all the drugs that, all the weird chemicals and things that are basically poison and toxins that we are overwhelming ourselves with instead of turning to God. And then the bottom left one, the one with all the tongues, that actually represents media, because media has many tongues, but it's all one beast. That's what that represents. So you can see there's a tongue on top, there's different eyes, there's multiple tongues. It's a devouring beast, right? It all goes to this devouring piece of manipulation, propaganda, deceit, deception, manipulation. And then the one, and of course, in the bottom right corner, the little apple that kind of looks like a skull, now represents death, where we no longer value life. And we are more embracing of death and violence to get our way, and everything that corruption, that sin, it only leads to death, spiritually and at times physically. And this disintegration, I mean, this wrath from God that is coming, that is destroying our economy on purpose because we turned our back on him, and through our own actions, through the sins, and through the desire to not work and to have only free stuff and not produce anything and not help others. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get this collapse, and everything that you try to do, it ends up in failure. And right now we're going through such a food inflation. People are finding a very hard time finding food. So our food supply is literally attacked. Our ability to afford it is attacked. It's a message from God, and it's actually a wrath from God until we turn ourselves around and pray and fast and seek the Lord's forgiveness and start being productive in helping our fellow man again. This will be our curse.
Beautiful but intense. I would
Mhm.
imagine. You purchase one of your paintings and you frame it and put it on your wall, and you have somebody come over and visit. Immediate uh, talking point.
Mhm.
I
A
can't.
conversation starter for sure.
That's the
Mhm.
word I was looking for. A conversation starter.
Yeah.
Um, Intense, very intense. And I think we have one more. I think we've got
Yes.
three.
Oh, that was the first one already. We already went through that one. There was another one.
There
Yeah.
we go.
One.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah. So again, I have a friend of mine, well, that's going through a lot, but I had the Blessed Mother come to me and say, paint this angel. And she said, this is an actual angel that's meant for healing. And she had me depicted with this lightning coming out of her hands, like there's just a storm going by, and she's putting her hands out to calm the storm. And you see that the blue skies behind her, and she's got these beautiful colors with her and this beautiful white light. And she said, "Is this meant for healing for a specific person? It will go to the person it's meant for." So I had a friend that she saw the painting, she immediately wanted it. I shipped it to her, and I was told to advise her to ask the angel in the painting for help. And she had been having terrible, terrible nightmares for a very long time. And she asked the angel from the painting to help her. And she said she had an extremely peaceful sleep for the first time in years.
Wow.
And then when she actually woke up in the morning, the painting was actually glowing with a blue light. And she has had amazing recovery, improvement in her health and her health prospects, where before her health was deteriorating, now it's improving. And everything in her life is just so much more better. And it was actually, I really feel like the Mother God put it on her heart to have this painting go to her, but because the blessing of I asked her to bless the painting, and she blessed it, so that healing and that blessing went right to her with the painting.
That's wonderful. I know that you do you feel that these visions mostly come to you in a dream state, but
Yes.
do you ever, like, I know when I wrote my books, I'm not a writer, and if you read my books, you'll realize that. But I definitely channeled something in order to get these books done because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to get them done. And I felt that. Do you sometimes feel like you're channeling something actually while you're painting?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I will sometimes have that energy, or like angelic energy, or that's the spirit that needs healing, um, or that person is a angel with a living person, or it's a family member that's intervening for them on the other side that's in spirit, and I'm painting that message. I will feel their energy through my hands, and I will sometimes I have no control in my hands, and I just paint what comes through. And sometimes they won't let me paint certain things because they want to, it's so specific. They only let me, paint a certain brushstroke or a certain shape. And in one painting I did for someone, I depicted an angel, which was her angel, her guardian angel that I was seeing, that had blue flames for wings and had a sword and an axe and the other that were flaming, and that was her guardian angel. And when I was painting this flame on the chest, I could only make it a certain shape. I couldn't make it any other shape. Turns out that emblem was her husband's, was samurai helmet's emblem. So the samurai helmet actually had that shape on it. And her husband's been deceased for 5 years. And she said, that's from my husband. She recognized it right away. She said, that's this exact same shape that's on the side of my husband's, deceased husband's samurai helmet. And he had come through as well. And I asked him, okay, what do you want me to paint for your wife? And he he thought about it for a while. He came back. He got real anxious and started yelling. I said, please calm down, because you're a little excited here. And I painted that, and I just didn't charge her anything, just shipped it off to his wife. And she said, wow, that's incredible, because it reminds me of my husband's eyes. And
Wow.
she said, there's no way I could have known. She also had a parakeet that passed away when she was a child, and in the painting, I was led to put in a parakeet, and so there's the little yellow parakeet I put in there. And she said, yeah, that parakeet was yellow who passed away when she was a child. And she's like, these are things she didn't ever told me about, and I couldn't possibly have known about, and were incorporated into the painting.
What can people expect when they come to see you at one of your events? Do you have to actually physically touch someone or be in their presence, be in their bubble, if you will, or psychically connect with them? Or does it not matter and you're going to get the vision anyway?
How I connect with somebody, I can connect somebody through their photographs, so they get to send me a photograph of themselves, and I can connect with them that way. And when I'm at these events, they're just sitting in front of me, and then I just look around them, and I can actually see the spirits around them, and then I will listen to what they're saying, and then paint what they tell me to say, or paint what they show me in my head. Sometimes the spirit will come down, and I will just take control in my hands, and I will just paint what that spirit is showing me. And I will have no idea when I'm painting. I had one painting that I did very quickly that was like that, and it was a horse, a black horse with a lightning bolt around it. And this was this person's um, guide. And this horse, the horse being the symbol of power and confidence, encouraging her to get out of her shell, because she was so shy and so introverted, according to the spirit, that she needed some sense of adventure, some sense of get up, go, some motivation to get out there and not be as timid and start exploring her world, because she was meant to be a go-getter. She's meant to be somebody who has many gifts that she needs to share with the world, and her shyness was holding her back. And she has this fear and anxiety about leaving her little safe space, or leaving her home, or leaving what's familiar, when really there's so much that God has in store for her that she needs to get out there with. And this was her sign was this beautiful black horse with these beautiful glowing eyes and this beautiful lightning bolt. And it was just such a powerful piece because that horse was so powerful. You could feel the strength of its presence, and you could see the musculature in the horse, and it was done in less than 10 minutes because the energy was so strong, and I had no idea I was painting, and it was just done. It was amazing.
For those that are near you or have the ability to travel, do you have any events coming up?
Yes, I will be I'm scheduled to be at the Revolution Rockwood Winery in Rockwood,
The
Rockwood,
Revolutionary Walkwood
Wo-
Winery in Walkwood.
Rockwood, Ohio. Yes, so coming up on August 17th, and that's wine tasting and portraits. So that will be that's the first for me. I haven't had an event where it involved wine tasting, so that will be wonderful.
Oh
I
yeah.
will be at the Healing Brew in Akron, Ohio, uh, around the 28th of this month. And I will be in September, I will be in Mystics and Marvels in Columbus, Ohio. And I will also be at the Anchorage Mansion next month and at Hidden Marietta, Ohio in Marietta, Ohio. And I put all the dates and everything on my Facebook page. And you can always go to my Facebook page and see those events. But I have quite a few coming up. I've been quite busy. And I'm usually at the Anchorage Mansion every other month. The Anchorage Mansion is in Marietta, Ohio. It is a haunted mansion, but all the spirits there are very friendly. They just love people and they love the building, so they come and they visit and they're very happy to do so. There's Sophia, who was the last owner. I have seen her there. I just see this black dress go by very quickly. Douglas Putman, his portrait is hanging in the center of the main parlor. I have talked to him. He's talked to me. He's very friendly. He's very playful. He smiled at me. His portrait smiled at me.
Wow.
Yes, and
Well, you
his
Marietta, Ohio.
mhm,
That's what we're talking about, Marietta, Ohio.
Marietta, Ohio, and it has
They
the
have some
Lafayette.
legendary haunted locations there.
Yes, the Lafayette Hotel.
Yeah.
I've been there a few times. I've been there at events about every year for the past 3 years, and you can actually feel people with you. Even you can look around you and not see somebody, but you feel them so strongly. You know that they're there at the Lafayette, but they feel curious and they feel friendly to me. The Anchorage Mansion is beautiful. It's an Italian style villa that was built in the late 1800s, currently being restored. Beautiful hardwood, beautiful original handmade windows. They're tall and gorgeous. Has a great big tower in the middle. Has servant stairs, main stairs. I think it has an informal formal parlor. Beautiful wraparound porch. Beautiful archways. Beautiful molding. Just absolutely gorgeous, and it has stained glass on the inside. It's just amazing.
Now, I'm familiar with some of those areas, and my dad was born in Dayton, and he grew up in Springfield. I have family in Cincinnati and Springfield and by Columbus to this day. And my grandma's maiden name was Lafayette.
Wow.
Oh, amazing. And I
Yeah.
just finished up an investigation at the Gill House in Galion, Ohio, as well. The Gill House, a beautiful, it's a
They
neo,
have some just gorgeous.
absolutely beautiful. The staircase is amazing, of beautiful wood, beautiful decoration. I think there's walnut and oak on the inside. Has rounded rooms, has some etching on the ceiling. I still has the box. It still has the box with the cloth insulation on the wiring. That goes back a ways.
Yep.
It definitely picked up. There was some children there that came through and talked to us. There was a Revolutionary War soldier that I was in touch with that had definitely needed help. And both me and another investigator, when I walked in, this soldier kept calling himself evil, but war does terrible things to the human mind and soul. And I actually saw he had a huge hole in his chest, and he actually had me relive his memory, and I could feel the pain in my chest. He had a 2-pounder cannonball go through his back and come out his chest. And he is somewhere in the vicinity where he was killed. There are soldiers, there are many people that are buried under the street where they just moved stones and not the bodies. But one of them is confirmed to be a Revolutionary War soldier that is in front of the house, buried in front of the house.
Very, very
Before we run out of time, I need to ask you about being a light worker
Mm-hmm.
because I advertised that we talk about that because anyone that didn't hear our first show with Angela, um, her gift started when she was a very young girl and she had a near death experience. And so she has these visions and she has these stories and she has a connection with the Blessed Virgin Mary, but
Mm-hmm.
she also heals people with light. And I believe if I'm saying it correctly, Mary will tell you what light to use, what color.
Yes, yes. So she will show me what colors to use, and the angels around the person will intervene. I'll ask them for what colors to use. So I will bring in light, and what I do, since I was one with that light, because I was dead for 30 minutes and I was sent back. I was literally sent back, and I was one with that light just pours through me. And then whatever frequency of color comes from that, because all the colors are in that white light. It comes to me, it will come out my hands, and I will use that on spirits, and I can also use that on people and body as well. I had one lady that I was told to use pink and white with, and kind of like in a candy cane spiral, and it came out of my hands and put this energy around her, and we both smelled peppermint. It actually had a scent to it. It was an incredible experience. She's talking about how wonderful it felt, and she started to cry, and she was overwhelmed that she could actually not only feel it but could smell the peppermint. And there was no peppermint in the room or around us. It had this wonderful peppermint smell. Another lady I helped with this, and she had pain in her neck. She was kind of down on herself, very depressed, and she came in the Anchorage mansion. And you could actually see when I put my hands up, you see the pulsing of this energy was coming out of my hands. You could actually see this distortion, these waves pulsing. And her neck pain immediately went away. And she said she felt so much better. In fact, she tried on a dress that wouldn't fit her when she first came in. And then after that, she went to put on the dress and it fit just fine.
Wow.
and her mood completely changed. She was completely transformed. She was just overflowing with joy. The transformation was amazing.
That's beautiful. I don't mean to get if I'm asking you something that you don't want to talk about, you know me, you just tell me. I'd rather
Mm-hmm.
move on off that topic. But you and I talked not too long ago. You reached out to me and wanted to ask me some questions about a client that reached out to you who was
Mm-hmm.
battling a malevolent force,
Yes.
and I gave you some advice, and I would like to know how that all turned out.
Well, I passed that along to her. She actually reached out to a paranormal group, but I was led to my understanding from spirit that what she's actually experiencing is something that she created. And I
Oh,
don't know if you're familiar with that, the idea of tulpas or agricorp, which is a entity that your subconscious creates or you create out of your own mind. And that can be created if you had trauma in your past. Your subconscious will create this being that's like its own entity, but it is from you, and you have to get counseling, you have to get help, you have to deal with that trauma and experience that healing yourself in order for that tulpa to also experience that healing and help that that calmness, that anger to reside. And then there, and she has to seek that kind of help. And I've been reiterating that with her, because that is clearly what is going on, because nothing affects this other than unless it's from her. So she has to take her own mental and emotional, psychological health seriously and seek somebody that specializes in that kind of help. Because if she does, and she goes seeks that kind of help, and she deals with these issues and the emotional impressions that she's under, from the past and also the present, then that topo is going to simmer down too, and it will be able to be in control, and calm down, be subdued, possibly even go away. My experience with them, people do create them, and when it's negative like this, it's usually out of some deep-seated fear or trauma that happened from their past and is now manifesting itself as an entity that is trying to take over, and it's really their subconscious. It's a part of their subconscious mind that never got healed and needs and is crying out for help.
That's very, what's very commonly attached to that same type of affliction is many people go through that when they manufacture the psychological attacks behind like some poltergeist hauntings
Mm-hmm.
and some of these really ugly locations that were ugly for so many years, that so many bad things happen there. These non-human malevolent entities get conjured up by just
Mm-hmm.
the atmosphere and all of the horror and badness that
Right.
resided in these locations. Those are tough. Those are tough
Mm-hmm.
cases to crack. I hope you all continue. I added you and your friend to my prayer
Yeah.
list, and I'll continue to
Yes,
pray
thank
for.
you.
Hopefully, she's doing okay with that. Yeah,
Yeah, she is
scary
getting
stuff.
help. So she is getting help, and that's just one of those things that she has to take that type of action. But there are friends who are helping her as best as they can in the situation. And my understanding, things are proving for her adopted grandson that she's who is autistic, and she's trying to raise herself. And I do have friends that are helping her as well, and she's getting help, and that's great. I just hope it continues to she gets help, because there are others, because that her topo is actually drawn in some very disturbing spirits, because it's disturbing. And there was some spirits that it was bringing to the house that were they were telling me they were from a mental hospital. Well, I learned later there was a mental hospital in the area that had closed. And so there were some spirits that were psychologically disturbed that were coming in and making things worse. And I actually asked heaven, we worked together with the angels and took them to heaven. So they got counseling on the other side, and they were able to have their mental health issues addressed and taken care of, in the heavens. And that's just beautiful, especially come back and they thank you. At the same time, this is still going on, and I really hope it resolves itself, but I do have a lot of hope. I have seen a lot of progress.
I'm going to recommend people listening and watching the show two things. I'm going to go ahead and give out your website, but it's a long address.
Mm-hmm.
But you also, in addition to your personal Facebook page, people can also find another wonderful Facebook page you have called Angela Boley, Psychic Portrait Artist.
Yes.
But your website is the letter A, then the word super squirrel, all one word, .wixsite.com/ Angela Boley portrait, the letter A.
Yes.
Very, and also that's on display on that one Facebook page,
Yes.
your portrait artist Facebook page. So they can just click on it, goes right to you. And I highly recommend anybody who's interested in any of your work or just wants to see all your work, go to your website and check them out. You've done some wonderful work. I remember you and I first met on, I believe it was Unexplained Cases. We
Yes.
were both a guest on. They brought you on because I was investigating a location here, trying to help a client here in town, up against something very, very powerful there. You actually painted that,
Mm-hmm.
and showed that to me, and I wanted to purchase the painting from you. My wife, who had was recovering from an extreme demonic attack at the time,
Mm-hmm.
was very nervous about me purchasing that painting. I may still purchase it from you because I plan on binding it and doing some other stuff to it
Mm-hmm.
to render it um, safe. But for the people out there that might be a little worried about purchasing one of your paintings in terms of it maybe being a form of a portal or coming with attachments, how do you address that?
Well, I actually have all my paintings blessed, and I fill them with love. In fact, there's a friend of mine who has bought a lot of my paintings, and he says when he gets them and he touches them, and he actually feels love coming off the paintings. And that's just because I'm surrounded with love energy, and I channel a lot of love energy. Now, I have worked with spirits, especially soldiers, particularly in purgatory, that needed help crossing over, and I've had some World War I themed paintings, and I actually had a voice come from a painting once that said "Hellochen." Of course, I was dealing with German World War I soldiers, so "Hellochen" in German is just a funny way to say hello. And I help with that painting, help those soldiers actually leave purgatory and enter into heaven for a lot of intervention. But some of those soldiers, they actually came around, and they thanked me for the painting, and the painting that I did was actually composed by one of the soldiers that actually came to me specifically asking, "Can you help me with all these soldiers who are still stuck in purgatory, all these Germans?" And we conversed in German, and he actually spoke through a spirit box in German because to validate that we were actually having a conversation. And he was an amazing experience, and he was an amazing spirit friend, and it was amazing spirit to actually get involved with helping souls leave purgatory and crossing over to heaven, and they are no longer suffering in the peace over there. The painting was just part of that. It felt like a portal for a while because what I was depicting, what they were showing me, was what it was like for them in purgatory, but also that small little glimpse of heaven that they could see when I was there, praying for them. They could see this doorway. They could see the light coming through, and of course, that type of portal doesn't stay open; it closes right up, and then you just have the painting and itself just filled with that love energy and that joy from everybody that had crossed over successfully from purgatory through all that intercession and all that help.
Wonderful. In the few minutes we have left, I'm gonna let Annette chat with you a little bit because I've been rudely interrupting her again, which I do every week.
Oh no, I thought it was fascinating. All the things that you were asking were things that I was really interested in. So, but he does do that every week. He says he's going to let me talk,
Yeah,
and then and then there's 5 minutes left, and then it's like, but we just love having you come back and
I
such a
know what we can
fascinating.
do.
What
I
can
know
we
what we
do?
can do. Yeah, I've never done this before. I
Uh
just
oh.
realized it's sitting right here, and to my right is the other. I didn't do the prayer urn
Oh,
or the
let's do
mail
that
bag.
together.
I've never done it with the guests before. Let's do that together.
Let's do. And we also have a Michelle who is saying hi. I'm Michelle from Milwaukee, Oregon, and I have paranormal activity in my haunted apartment.
Whoa.
And hello to Jennifer, but we do have Michelle talking about her haunted apartment.
Hi, Michelle. Hi,
I
Jennifer.
live,
Hi.
I had
Jennifer's one of my sister
also.
Benedictines. Okay, here we got Ann from Ann P from California. Hi, Ann. My
Hi, Ann.
daughter just had a baby. Congratulations. Her and her child were not expected to live. I prayed to God not to let that happen. Please thank him for me. Please light a candle for me and for all the unborn children. That's wonderful. I'm going to cry.
Oh, that's
Um,
beautiful.
you know what? I'm going to use this one. This is a beautiful 3 wick candle that I use when I want to ask the Holy Spirit to intervene here. So I'm going to light this candle for Ann P in California. And I'm going to ask, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, I'm going to ask that the Holy Spirit enters and intervenes in the life of Anne, her family, all the expectant mothers, and unborn souls worldwide to intervene in their lives. Amen.
Amen.
Let me check the mailbag here real quick. So that wasn't really a prayer. I haven't had a candle request in a long time. And if you're watching, that candle will burn for you and your family until it's done burning. I will put it in the room with all the other candles, and that will burn until it's done burning. Now, this may be a good question for you, Angela, depending on what it is out of the mailbag.
Mhm.
I've got Lucy W. from Connecticut. Hi, Lucy.
Hi, Lucy.
Can ghosts kill? Question mark. Is it ever okay to allow a ghost to hang around and not cross over? Sorry, two questions. um, I'm just going to quickly throw out um, I think ghosts can kill, or they
Mhm.
can cause events that can cause bodily harm. I personally don't believe ghosts are they're of the ages and of a different time now in a different realm. I believe they all need to be crossed over
Mhm.
somewhere. Um, but there have been times before where I couldn't get a spirit to cross over because it was part of the family and really so part of that home and that land. They
Mhm.
were like begging to be able to stay, and they would go in their on their own terms when they were ready. Sometimes
Right.
you got to make a deal and say, okay, great, but quit showing yourself to the family because even though they love you and miss you, you're freaking them out. So make a little deal there. But what do you all the paranormal books that Annette has edited and published, she's experienced that type of stuff, and you basically your life is filled with spirit. What do you think about that? Can ghosts kill, and is it okay to let them hang around?
Yes, they can kill. I've been physically attacked, by the demonic entities. I've also had physical contact. I had a boyfriend um, who was in a satanic cult. He was originally sent to kill me, but God moved to save, not only to save my life, because all that light came through to him, and he fell in love with me, and we fell in love with each other, and he was totally going to lead that satanic life, and he was in a satanic cult. But shortly thereafter, about a month or two later, he unexpectedly passed away at age 25. And I was really sad about this because it was an incredible conversion for the soul. Incredible, amazing. They sent somebody who was in this Satanism into this actual satanic cult, had this hostility for God, and now turned around and then passes away. But years later, he came to me and he would talk to me, and he actually kissed me on the forehead. I could feel him
Oh,
kiss me. I could hear his voice. He touched my cheek. Um, and if a ghost can interact physically like this, and God allowed that to happen, so we could experience that healing. We miss each other. Obviously, he's in heaven, I'm here. And then there could be ghosts. They could also do physical harm as well. And I've had experienced ghosts where they throw things. If ghosts can throw things, yes, it can make something happen. They can manipulate things to happen behind the scenes, and a group of them can get together and have something happen. And in my case, with me, with boyfriend's passing, having him reach out to me and being allowed to reach out to me like that, it was a great comfort. And then him escorting back to heaven, and to see how glorious he looked there and how amazing and how beautiful. It was just such a blessing. It was just such a wonderful healing, such a great gift from me, and for us both to have that, to still have that connection and that love that just doesn't die. That connection will always be there.
well, Angela, you know I love you and respect you, and I know that Annette and I both loved having you here today. It's the time where I have to my least favorite part of the show where I have to say goodbye. Did you have fun when you come back?
Absolutely. I will gladly come back. I will jump at the chance to come
Yay.
back.
Please give my best to all of the spirit guides that are around you from yours truly. Have a blessed evening, a blessed weekend. I'll be in touch because I'm going to have you back. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
We'll
Thank
see you
you,
later, Angela.
Angela. It was a great show. Thank you.
Take care. All right, Miss Annette Munich. Are you ready for this week's joke?
Let's have your joke. Let's see
For
what
all,
you
for all you guys new to the show, years ago during a live, I just happened to comment that I'm a sucker for a good bad joke. Next thing I know, people all over the country started sending me bad jokes to say live on air. So it's turned into a tradition, and it's my poor attempt to put a smile on everybody's face before we say goodnight. Okay. This is from Mary B in the UK. I'm glad she.
Hi,
This is weird.
Mary.
We are going to the UK next week. We're going to see Alex Anderson, creator of Lex Paranormal, in the UK next week's show. Isn't that weird? I pull somebody from UK and I.
Interesting.
What do you call a fake noodle?
What do you call a fake noodle?
An impasta.
Oh, my.
I love you. You have a great evening and
Have
a
a
great
great
weekend.
evening.
I'll see you next week.
Bye,
Hang on,
everybody.
everybody. Annette's leaving, but I'm going to say goodbye to you guys one on one here in a second. So hang on. Annette, I'll see you later. I love you.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
Bye bye. All right, guys. What do I want to tell you guys? I want to thank United Public Radio Network, 107.7 New Orleans again, and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network for carrying my show. God bless them both. Thank you to Michelle DeRoche for making it happen, and thank you to Laura Lee today for filling in for her and making everything run smooth. Um, Thank you all. Thank you for tuning in. Like I said, I don't have a show without you guys. So God bless you all for tuning in. We'll be here next week. Get your passports ready. We're going to the UK. And I have one magic word for you guys: sponsors. If you would like me to give you or your product a shout out live on air during one of my shows, reach out to us. Um, we welcome sponsors. So that would be very cool. I'll leave you with this. We may have done what the devil said we did, but we are not who the devil says we are. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love you all. God bless you all in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Peace.